The Aspire E 15.6-inch laptop is a pretty basic one, and it comes in at around $500 Canadian. It's about what the average laptop user is going to be buying. So I've only used this laptop for 4 days before writing this review. 2 of them were work days and 2 were the weekend. So I got a pretty even mix of what I'm going to be using it for. Let's take a tour around the outside first before we get into the insides. So on the outside, on the left side, it has a VGA, an HDMI, one USB 3.0 port, and an Ethernet port. To the right side, there is 2 USB 2. There is a headphone jack and your charging port over there. It's a pretty decent layout. I can't complain about it. Although the one thing that I did find weird is the SD card reader that comes with it is actually on the front of the laptop, on the front left to the inside of the laptop. So we find a sub 1080p screen, something that I really wish we could just fix. The whole industry needs to go to minimum 1080p is the standard. I get it's a bit harder on battery life, but I also understand that 1080p really needs to be the minimum standard nowadays. Below that, we see the full 105 key keyboard layout, which is pretty nice actually. As far as laptop keyboards go, it does have that chiclet feel. I did find 2 keys that if I let my finger rest on them, that they'd actually press. I don't know if that was just manufacturing tolerances or what, but it is something to be aware of. Now this might be getting a little nitpicky, especially for a $500 laptop, but the power button was a little bit wobbly and it made it feel cheap, is probably the easiest way of putting it. So let's take a look at the touchpad. The touchpad is a little bit subpar, and I really wish it would track a little bit better, although most of the time it wasn't noticeable. Unless I was working in Photoshop trying to outline something, that was where I noticed it. I tried to use, over the 4 days, the laptop with no additional things added to it. That way I could get a feel for the laptop itself. This laptop's more about function than it is form. So while it's nice to take a look at the outside and have a look at the brushed plastic and all of that makes it look okay, it's really about what's on the inside, the guts of it. So let's take a look at it, and I'm just going to take a look at my notes right here. So the Aspire E has an AMD quad-core A4 6210 chip, clocked at 1.8 GHz with 6 GB of RAM. That 6 GB is something nice to see, especially for this price of laptop. Typically you see it for the $600 to $700 is where you get more than 4 GB of RAM. So I was really pleased to see it for this price. And it has a 1TB 5400 RPM hard drive. 5400 RPM hard drives need to die. Yes, Apple, you too. So what I did to get the average of 6 hours is I was doing web browsing, working in Microsoft Word, I was watching online video, I was doing a little bit of Photoshop, although I wouldn't really recommend it, and I did attempt to run Premiere, it didn't go well. So back to that 5400 RPM hard drive. Let's take a look at what the actual speeds were. So it had 105 megabyte per second read speed and 103 megabyte per second write speed. This is atrocious, and it was absolutely painful to reboot. So I would recommend upgrading to an SSD as soon as you get this, as I think that's really the main thing that's wrong with it, is that hard drive. Other than that, it's a great laptop. So for $600, you could have a really nice setup. Remember, I love it when you like it. Remember to comment down below, let me know what you thought about this video, as well as any other videos. Check out the videos linked at the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe. The one that came out first, and the one that I think is probably the best, is the